Hey everybody, and welcome to this practice quiz for the A+ 1201 exam. Just like in all my other quizzes, in this video I'm going to give you one practice exam from every exam objective, and I'm going to make sure that we test you in a well-rounded way to see how ready you are for your exam. If you're new here, my name is Matt and I help people pass their A+ certification, both their Core 1 and Core 2. That's my goal, to help you do that today. So let's go ahead and get straight to it. The first question from exam objective 1 reads, at Global Tech Incorporated, the IT department deploys an MDM solution to enforce corporate security on all mobile devices. Which task is beyond the scope of MDM? Is it A, enforce device encryption, B, remotely wipe a lost or stolen device, C, sort through spam on the user's personal email account, or D, configure VPN and email settings automatically? Your answer is going to come in 3, in 2, in 1. Pause the video. If you do need more time, your answer is C. MDM does not sort through spam on the user's personal email account. So an MDM, starting to sound like Eminem there, an MDM can enforce device encryption. It can remotely wipe a lost or stolen device to ensure none of that data is accessible if you do lose that or it is stolen. And it can configure VPN and email settings automatically, but it cannot sort through spam, or it cannot really do anything regarding or relating to the user's personal email account. For this question, we basically just need to understand what MDM is, when we would use it, and how it changes depending on the specific circumstances. So let me give you a quick overview of pretty much what you need to know relating to this. First things first, MDM stands for Mobile Device Management, and it has some core functions that it tries to achieve. It's designed to keep devices in a corporate setting safe and keep them all the same and uniform. All right, so MDM, or Mobile Device Management, wants to enforce security policies, configure devices so that all devices are relatively the same and are easy to set up. It wants to protect corporate data, manage corporate email, not personal email. Nothing to do with personal data, only the corporate email. Anything personal is beyond the scope of MDM. Now, let's get into specifically the two different ways MDM can be applied and what you need to know. The first is corporate MDM. So corporate MDM is when the device is owned by the corporation and is hired out, or sorry, not hired out, but given to the employees. The corporation owns that device, and because they own that device, they have complete and full control. So it grants IT administrators full authority over device settings, applications, and security policies across all devices. There's nothing that's off limits. But with Bring Your Own Device, or BYOD, which is an acronym you will need to know for your exam, the control does have to find a balance between organizational authority and user privacy, because we can't get involved in our users' personal data. So it has to manage corporate data without infringing on personal information, hence not being able to look through the user's personal email in this instance. So wrap your head around that and you'll be okay. Let's get to the next question. Exam objective 2, we're looking at ports and protocols. Let's have a read. You are providing technical support for remote employees who need to access their office computers through a graphical desktop interface. While monitoring the network traffic, you notice that the connections for these remote sessions are being established on a specific port. Which port is typically used for this service? Is it A, 21, B, 445, C, 3389, or D, 80? Pause the video if you need more time. I'll tell you what, I'll take a sip of my coffee. Okay, let's go. The answer is C, 3389. So we would need to have done two things for this question. We would have needed to look at the description and being able to identify that it is describing the protocol of remote desktop protocol. And we would then also need to remember what port does that protocol operate on. All right, so you can read about the other ports here, but functionally, guys, for any questions relating to ports and protocols, you're going to need to have all the information in the table that you're looking at right now pretty much memorized. I recommend you able to draw this table out from heart before taking your exam. And the way I did this when I was taking this exam, because I remember I was like, there's so much information, oh my gosh, right? I would literally write all of this out on a table. I would go shopping, like everywhere I went. If I'm shopping, if I'm in the car, if I'm going for a walk around the neighborhood, if I'm whatever I'm doing, I'm at the gym. I took my paper to the gym, right? I would look at it, put it down, and I would try to recite it off the top of my head. I'd say, okay, let's start from the top. ports 20 and 21. This is protocol FTP. What does that do? It transfers files. When would I use it? I'd use it in this scenario. The next one is port 22, that right? And I'd go through, and when I got stuck, I'd take a look. I'd maybe, if I'm at the gym, I'd do another set, or another set of exercises, or I'd take a few breaths if I'm going for a walk, or I'd grab my can of beans if I'm going shopping, and then I'd try again. And by integrating it throughout my life that way, I ended up memorizing this completely and was ready for my exam. So that's just some tips that you might want to integrate into your life as to how you do this, because it's a lot of information, right? And if you're limited on time, it's hard to get all of this in your brain. So that's how I did it. Anyway, let's move to the next question, which is from exam objective 3. It reads, while examining the documentation for a memory upgrade, you come across a specification stating that the maximum capacity per DIMM is 16 gigabytes. Based solely on this capacity information, which DDR generation does this module most likely belong to? Is it A, DDR1, B, DDR2, C, DDR3, or D, DDR4? Pause the video if you need to. Your answer coming after my sip of coffee. And here we go. Your answer is DDR3. So for this one, guys, we essentially need to be familiar with, one, what DDR is, and two, we need to be familiar with the specific RAM that's available for each version of DDR. All right, so first of all, what is DDR? DDR is upgrade to RAM based on what we had previously. We don't need to know any more than that. We need to know that double data rate RAM or memory enhances your computer's performance by transferring data more rapidly, right? It's better than what we had before. Don't need any more than that. Specifically, what we do need to know is that each version of DDR is going to have faster speeds and increased bandwidth and essentially more RAM available than the previous versions. But the kicker is they are not backwards compatible. So what that means is if you have a DDR2 slot, you cannot insert DDR3 RAM into that. You would have to change that slot out, right? You would have to actually get a DDR3 slot installed before you can use that DDR3 RAM, and vice versa. You need the specific slot for that specific DDR version. Now, what you really needed to know as well for this is, of course, the capacities per DIMM, and this is what I want you to know about for your exam, right? DDR1 is 1, DDR2 is 4, DDR3 is 16, DDR4 32, DDR5 is 128. Memorize this for your exam. Any questions, you'll be ready to go. I know there's a lot of memorization you'll need, but it's a pretty broad exam, guys, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you are going to need to know this stuff. So again, make sure you've got this down. You can use the same kind of hints and tips and tricks that I talked about before with the ports and protocols, but I recommend knowing this, all right? Now, the next question from the next exam objective reads, Ryan uses a Windows computer for most of his tasks, but occasionally needs to run Mac OS specific applications for his projects. Instead of buying separate hardware, he sets up a virtual environment that allows him to run Mac OS seamlessly within Windows. This enables him to access and use Mac exclusive software without switching devices. His approach ensures compatibility and efficiency across different operating systems. Which of the following best describes the type of environment Ryan is using? Is it A, a Sandbox, B, test development, C, legacy software and operating systems virtualization, or D, cross-platform virtualization? You need to know the specific term that refers to what Ryan is doing here. Your answer coming after my sip of coffee in 3, 1, and here we go. The answer is cross-platform virtualization. So because Ryan is running a Mac OS virtual machine on his device, which is a Windows system, he's trying to get two platforms to be able to work together. He's going cross-platform from Windows to Mac, and the term that refers to that is cross-platform virtualization. The other terms here were Sandbox, test development, and legacy software and operating systems virtualization. Let's have a look at what all this means. Okay, so first of all, virtual machines. Basically, what it is a software-based emulation of a physical computer, which allows multiple operating systems to run concurrently and independently on a single piece of hardware. Breaking that down into plain English, what that means is if I have a Windows system, I can download and install a virtual machine, which will let me then run Mac on that virtual machine, or will let me run an older version of Windows on that virtual machine. Or maybe I want to actually take some code that I'm not sure how it will interact with my machine. I can create an identical version of my machine, put that into a virtual machine, and then activate that code to see what happens without risk of damaging my own computer, right? And those situations that I just ran you through, there's specific terms you need to know for each of those use cases, and that's basically what this question is referring to. So a VM is an isolated environment, right? It's isolated from the rest of your machine. It's acting as its own computer. It can be used for safe testing and development, and it can be used to use Mac OS on Windows or Linux on Windows, etc. Right? Now, let's get to the specific terms. The first one is a sandbox environment, right? So a sandbox environment refers to a secure and isolated digital space where you can experiment, test, or run potentially risky operations without impacting your existing systems or network. I want you to think of this as like, you need something, you found a bomb, right? And you need to take that bomb into a safe room with bulletproof glass and blow it up safely. That's when you'd use a sandbox. So think about testing potentially dangerous programs, things that you suspect might be malware. That's the kind of use cases for your exam I want you to think about here. So we use this to test untrusted software. It is isolated from our device, which means if something goes wrong, we're relatively protected. We can also reset it back to how it was before we did that testing, which is fantastic, which means that we are going to be safe and our devices are going to be safe if something goes wrong. Okay, so be really clear here. Think of this as taking a bomb, that bomb being malware or potentially malicious code, and testing it in a safe space. The reason I'm really emphasizing that is because this next one, test development, seems pretty similar, but it's kind of we're drawing a line and creating a new term for this. And test development is when we're basically using this secure VM environment to safely trial application code and implement changes without risking harm to your network or devices. So right now we're probably thinking, that sounds like a sandbox. You're right. For the sake of your exam, there's a different term for it. So think of a sandbox environment, which we just talked about here, right? We talked about sandbox here. Think of this as you're testing potentially malicious code. You're testing things that you think might be malware, things to that effect. If it blows up, you'll be all right. And think of a test development scenario as one where you want to make some changes to your code, but you just want to make sure it works okay and it doesn't make everything crash. You might do that in a VM, and the term for that is test development. So you've got secure testing. You can duplicate your machine exactly as it is and test the outcome of that on your virtual machine with no risk to your machine coming to harm, right? It's a risk-free adjustment in a controlled environment. So that's the difference between sandbox and test development for the sake of your exam. Hopefully that kind of cleared it up. Now, legacy software and operating systems, you can also use a virtual machine here to basically, if you have wanted to use a program that could only be used on Windows XP, but you have Windows 11, you can install that legacy version of Windows so that you could use that legacy version of software. It's the same OS, but it's an older version, and you need that version to use that old software because it's not available on your current version. That's when it would be legacy software or operating system. And the term that we needed for this one was cross-platform virtualization, which essentially refers to a user running a program on a different operating system on their current device. So the example here was running Mac OS virtual machine on a Windows machine so that you can use that Mac OS specific program. Again, the specific term we need to know for that is cross-platform virtualization. There is a term for that, and you need to know when that term applies for your exam. All right. Now, the last question in this video from Exam Objective 5 is, Emma turns on her computer, expecting it to boot normally, but instead she is met with a bootable device not found error message. Frustrated, she checks the physical connections, but everything seems properly attached. Before replacing the hardware, she wonders what step she should take first to identify the problem. What is the first step Emma should take upon encountering the bootable device not found error? Should she A, verify the BIOS/UEFI boot order settings, B, replace the hard drive or SSD immediately, C, reset the monitor settings to check if the display is functioning correctly, or D, install a new version of Windows? Pause the video if you need more time. Your answer's going to come, yeah, I'll take another sip. Why not? After this sip. Let's do it. Your answer is, of course, A. You're going to want to verify the BIOS/UEFI boot order settings. So if you get a bootable device not found error and you've already checked the physical connections, which is a good first step, the next thing we want to be doing in our troubleshooting process is verifying the BIOS boot settings. The Primary cause is generally an incorrect boot order if we've already verified everything is physically connected. It is a simple solution. Before we start doing anything more extreme, we want to do this. So step 1, check physical connections, always step 1. Step 2, check the boot order. All right. Only after that do we start going more extreme. We don't need to replace the drives or do anything crazy just yet. Okay. Now, guys, if you've enjoyed what is in this completely free quiz, I've helped many people pass. This person says my courses have helped them pass their 1101, 1102. This person says that they passed their core 1. This person says that they passed their core 1 and are going on to their core 2. This person says that my learning guide is incredibly helpful with organized information and helps them piece things together more easily. This person says that my learning guide was seen to be immensely helpful with studying as soon as they downloaded it. This person says they got full marks on their A+ and are now moving on to the Network Plus. You get the picture. I'm not going to read through all of these for you, but basically, if you want to be like these people, if you want a bit of an extra bump up and you want to grab my learning guide, you can go ahead and grab it. Here's what you can expect, right? You've got notes and practice questions broken down by exam objective. So for every exam objective, you've got notes, detailed notes, and practice questions targeted at that specific exam objective. You then get 3 full-length practice exams with performance-based questions at the beginning of each exam. You also get videos showing you exactly how to study with multiple choice questions, videos showing you exactly how to do advanced methods of study that are highly effective, and a video showing you if you get stuck on your exam on multiple choice questions, some tactics you can use to get out of there successfully and get that win, get that exam, even though you might have been a little bit confused when looking at that question. So if that sounds good to you, don't head there. Don't head to 1202. Head over to, that's for my Core 2 course. I put the wrong slide in there by accident, but I'll show you where to go. You can click on the link in the description or in the pinned comment below, or you can head over to journey2cyber.com. Come on, let's go. And you can click on 1201 and it'll take you to this page here and you can have a read through, see if you like it, have a look at what people are saying, click on purchase, and it'll take you through to the purchase page and you can grab that if that's something you want to do. Now, what I do want to say, guys, is there is actually currently a code that I am going to be applying here that'll get you 50% off, but it'll only work for the first 10 people. And that code is right here. I am going to pass. I'll put that code in the comment and description below as well. So use that for 50% off. Only is going to work for the first 10 people. All right. So if you want that, make sure you quick on it. Now, with that being said, guys, I will see you in the next video, and I can't wait to see you in the Core 2 series. All right. Because you're going to pass the Core 1. I know it. Bye, guys.